Hey there everyone, thanks for tuning in. My name's Gregson, and I've been driving around the 2017 Nissan Rogue SL all-wheel drive for the last week, and I thought this would be a good time for me to take you through the 5 things that I really love about this car. Number 1, the radar guided cruise control. This is actually the first car I've ever driven in that has had radar guided cruise control. I've ridden in cars and been a passenger in cars many times where they have radar guided cruise control or any kind of cruise control that sets distances based on cameras or anything like that. This is the first time I've actually driven one, and I gotta say it's pretty amazing. I love how you can just set it and forget it. Now, I totally get the argument of this is not how a real driver should be. This is more of autonomy, and enthusiasts don't like that and whatever. Okay, I get it, and I totally get that as well, and I'm kind of in that same boat, but this is a pretty legitimate technology, and the way that this one works is it just slows down whenever there's a car based on distance, and it will come to a complete stop, which is really cool. A lot of systems that I've heard of recently don't actually do that. They kind of just will let you know when the car is slowing down too much, and that's really it. So this system is actually quite good, and I'm a huge fan. I took a small road trip yesterday with this car, about 2 hours total, 1 hour in either direction, and my wife and I were in the car, and we basically just set it and just cruised the whole time, which was wonderful. So I really love that feature, and I would really love that feature on a car that I would get in the future. So that is number 1 on my list. Number 2 is the handling. I'm shocked at how good the handling is on this car, and I'm kind of throwing this around a little back road right now. For a big, well, not big, but for a heavy SUV, this is actually pretty good. I'm surprised at how good it is in the corners. I mean, there's body roll. I mean, it's an SUV. What are you gonna do? It's a crossover SUV, whatever the hell you want to call it. You're gonna have body roll, and you're gonna have, you know, way worse handling than you would with a sports car or anything that's of comparable value that's a sedan. But I'm actually quite shocked, and I think it's really good. There is a sport button down here that I don't think really sharpens up any of the handling aspects. It, I think, increases a bit of the throttle response, and you get a bit more of the shifts, even though this is a CVT. So yeah, I think the handling's quite good for what this car is. All right, third thing is actually the ride quality. Now, you may have noticed that it wasn't really that great back there because we went over some bumps and the camera kind of shook, but the thing is, again, you have to consider what this car is. It's a crossover, it's an SUV, it's meant to have a higher ride height, it's not meant to be, you know, a wafting Bentley across, you know, hundreds of miles of distance and anything like that. This is meant to be, you know, a people carrier, and it's supposed to be a good daily driver, and it is. And I think the ride quality is pretty good for the class. Now, I've been in a bunch of them. I won't say which ones because I don't want to compare them right now. We're going to do a comparison video with another one, but yeah, I think overall this is a really good mileage muncher, and if you buy this and you're going to have this as a daily driver and you're going to put a ton of miles on it, you're never going to be uncomfortable in here, which is really good. Fourth thing I love about the Nissan Rogue 2017 is the interior. The interior styling is quite nice. I, once again, am very surprised. Not that Nissan has been a perpetual, you know, awful company in this realm. They've made very decent cars in the past, but nothing in here feels cheap. It's very good quality leather. The color scheme I personally absolutely love. I think it's really cool, and I just feel very comfortable in the interior, and everything's laid out very well. Ergonomically, it's just a nice place to be, and there's plenty of room in the back, there's plenty of room in the trunk. This is, you know, the new generation of your daily driver SUV, and No one will ever be uncomfortable in here. If you are, there's something seriously wrong with your back and you may need to see a doctor. Overall, the styling is very good. The dash is nicely laid out. The gauge cluster looks good. The center console is okay. And just everything feels where it should be. So I am a huge fan of the styling of this interior, especially this really cool burnt orange. Fifth thing and final thing that I love about the Nissan Rogue is the space in here. I mentioned it in the last point, but it feels very open in here. It feels very large. You have a huge kind of greenhouse. You have this big panoramic sunroof. It doesn't feel like a small SUV. A lot of packaging from a lot of different companies make these cars feel very small, and that is a huge miss by a lot of these guys. This one doesn't feel too big, it doesn't feel too small, it feels just right. So I think the space in here and the way the space is laid out is very, very good packaging by Nissan, and I think that they've really kind of hit the nail on the head with it. So if you're really struggling for space, you need to step up. You need to go to the Pathfinder or the Armada or Ford Explorer type or whatever, that class. If you need more space, just do that. If you need a third row, that's fine. You don't need a third row, then this is perfect. And it's one of the longest cars in the segment. I think it's 185 inches, which puts it, longer than the Subaru Forester, puts it longer than the Hyundai Tucson, puts it longer than the Mazda CX-5. So you're gonna get more space for your money in this car as opposed to others in the segment. So I really like the space in this car, and I think it's a very good job by Nissan doing that. Overall, my impressions of this car are very good. I think that Nissan has done a really good job. Now, there are some things I really dislike about this car. As with all cars, you're gonna get the good with the bad. I don't think that there's a car out there currently that really is perfect in a way that there's negatives there aren't any negatives you can take away. Maybe a few, but we're not talking any in this class. So I'm going to make another video, and we'll get that out next week, of the 5 things that I dislike or hate about the Nissan Rogue. But until then, thanks for tuning in. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe. See ya.